Hey there everyone, for years we've been bringing you videos from this building. It's the Royal Society's home here in London, Carleton House Terrace. We've filmed in all sorts of rooms, but we've never shown you the big picture. We've never actually shown you around the building. So today, the Royal Society's head librarian, Keith Moore, is going to give us his signature building tour. This is world famous, people, and you're getting it right now.
Should we go?
Yeah, before I get burned. Come on. It's never this hot in England. James, make sure you show people these door handles. It's one of my favourite things here. What's going on with those, Keith?
It's a DNA helix design.
Yeah? He's the most important person in the whole building. It's Moses. You know him from our treasure chest video. No one gets in without Moses giving the say-so. Am I good?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, yeah, I'll be there.
All right. He runs this place.
Unbelievably, he still lets Brady in.
Here we go.
So this is the entrance hall to the Royal Society in the waiting area. You'll see Charles II over there.
He's got longer hair than me, but give me a bit longer. Normally, the mace, the Royal Society mace would be there. We've filmed it before, so I'm sure James will show you what that looks like.
So usually we would have exhibitions all around the building, but of course now, because of lockdown, we've cleared them out temporarily. They'll go back soon.
Where do you want to take us first?
Follow me.
All right. City of London room.
So these, the City of London rooms 1, 2 and 3, are the Royal Society's reception spaces. Now, of course, the Society hasn't always been in this building. We've had many homes over the years, starting at Gresham College. We spent a little bit of time in Arundel House, then Crane Court off Fleet Street. We've been in Somerset House, Burlington House, and we moved to Carleton House Terrace in the 1960s. So the building, which was put up in 1830, has its own history. So it was private housing to begin with. 6, 7, 8 and 9 Carleton House Terrace are the bits that the Royal Society occupies. But various private individuals owned them after John Nash, the architect, built the place. And eventually the Prussian legation moved into the building, and subsequently this became the German embassy in London. And some of the architecture reflects that time, and some of it reflects the 1930s architecture of Albert Speer's team, because this was the Nazi embassy in London. And you can see that in this interlocking set of rooms, where if you'd been in Carleton House Terrace at that period, you would have been taken from a small room with a not very important official to someone slightly more important, and you'd gradually get to the ambassador, and you'd be suitably impressed by the power of architecture. So this interlocking set of rooms is exactly that, and the little brass door handles you can see dotted around, straight from the Ruhr foundries. These were put in the 1930s.
How's that? Nazi embassy? Who would have thought? Just quickly while we're in this room, I want to show you 2 portraits, because these are 2 portraits I find really interesting. If you don't mind, Keith.
Go ahead.
Sir Paul Nurse, the previous president, he's been on Objectivity before. It's like incredible photorealistic portrait. And the Tim Berners-Lee portrait over here. Inventor of the internet. Interesting artistic choice. Not the direction I would have gone in, but what do I know?
Yeah, I like this portrait.
You like it, don't you?
I love it, yeah. So this is by Jennifer McRae. Jennifer, when she did the portrait, was also interested in telling a little bit about Tim Berners-Lee's story and the story of the internet. Yeah. And she visited the Royal Society and was impressed by the ornate frames. So she decided to give Tim Berners-Lee an ornate framing device based on his own mind map of the World Wide Web that she saw pinned up in his office. So that the little postcards and snapshots and drawings around it tell the story of the painting being made, and also the story of the web. So what we're going to do now is a journey through time. We started off here in the City of London rooms, the first of them, and we've been looking at our fellows of today and of the recent past, and we're going to take a journey back through time. So we're going to go from the next room, which is the 19th century, way back into the 18th and 17th century. That's the way the hang goes, so let's walk that route.
See, this is more my type of portrait, Keith.
Well, we have some of the great ones here. So this is Michael Faraday, probably the best experimental scientist of the 19th century. More chemists here. This is William Thomas Brande, another figure from the Royal Institution. So these are all 19th century figures who had big impacts on the science of that period. But we're going to go back a little further and go to the 17th and 18th century now, through here.
Oh, I know that guy.
Yeah, that's right. Isaac Newton, right in the middle, of course.
He is the pin-up boy of the Royal Society.
He is. We have several portraits of Newton. This is the one I like best. I think this is my favourite. I just think it gives a better impression of the man. He's usually shown as quite a heroic figure. He's a bit kind of portly under the chin in this one. He looks a bit more elderly. Yeah. It seems to me a fairer portrait of what Newton would have looked like as president. It's by Vanderbank. What you find in some of these portraits, this is James Jurin, who was a Royal Society secretary, is people self-consciously identifying themselves as Newtonians, because here in his hand, even though he's a medical man primarily, he has a copy of Principia Mathematica Newton. So he's demonstrating that he's a follower of Isaac Newton. And at this period, there were people, mathematicians and physical sciences particularly, who would have identified themselves that way, because those natural historian chaps, they couldn't quantify anything in science. They weren't proper scientists. So there was a tussle over the presidency after Newton's death in 1727. On that side of the wall, we have the two people who tussled. Martin Folkes, mathematician and antiquary on that side. Fantastic portrait by William Hogarth, one of the best British artists.
I think that's a really unflattering portrait, that one of Folkes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very honest portrait. So Folkes contested the presidency with Hans Sloane over there. Sloane, of course, associated with the British Museum, became president of the Royal Society, and then subsequently Martin Folkes. A little bit of a mixed legacy, Hans Sloane. He's highly identified these days with the slave trade because his family was in that business, and that's partly where the collections were financed from. So people like Sloane these days are difficult figures, and we're doing some work at the moment in terms of how do we present these portraits to acknowledge that and give context for the history of this particular bit of science.
Watch this space. We may have some more videos later down the track showing how you decide to tackle
that would be good. Yeah.
All right.
But we need to, well, I suppose we have to show Benjamin Franklin.
All right, let's pander to our American viewers. Let's give Franklin up there. There he is.
Yeah.
Benjamin Franklin, tucked away in the corner.
Yeah, well, you know, just another British scientist at that period.
All right.
We're going into the Welcome Theatre. So this is the main lecture room.
So this is where big speeches are given and presentations and award ceremonies.
Yeah, this is where the science gets done. So if we have a discussion meeting pulled together by the fellows on a particularly new cutting-edge part of science, this is probably where it would be done. When you eventually get elected as a fellow of the Royal Society, Brady,
yes.
This is where the ceremony takes place.
Can I practice walking up the front?
That's right, your name would be called.
Sir Brady Haran. Thank you.
A citation would be given saying why you'd been elected.
Thank you very much.
Walk up the steps.
Where will I sign the book? Up here?
Yeah.
It'll be just here?
Just about there.
Thank you very much.
You would shake hands with the president over the mace.
Thank you, Sir Keith. I'd just like to say what an honour it is to be signing the book at this time.
No, you don't make a speech, Brady. No, you just get off.
I will
get
make
off.
a speech. Hang on, I've got to sign the book. Let me sign the book. Brady was here. Woohoo!
One or two people do that.
Really?
Yeah. Which I think is perfectly understandable. You'll notice in this room that there's a little bit of a change, Brady. So we have the great and the good former presidents on that side. On this side, you'll see some of the fruits of our recent commissioning, because we have here one or two women fellows of the Royal Society, just to get some gender balance into the room here.
Yeah, yep. Dame Anne McLaren.
One of our most recent commissions, this one. This is Julia Higgins by Ben Sullivan, 2017. Julia Higgins, a polymer scientist. She's posed with her latest piece of work here. And you can just see Carleton House Terrace in the background there, just through the window.
Love that little Easter egg. Super. Where are we going next, Keith?
Let's go into the Marble Hall.
Some good portraits along here. You've seen the treasure chest before on Objectivity. Keith is saying no because he knows whenever I do the Brady tour of the building, I always show people the secrets of these treasure chests.
Don't reveal, you'll have to watch the video.
All right.
But we have some of the objects that you'll recognise here, Brady. So there's the Priestley electrical machine there, the Royal Society's treasurer's chest, and this Troughton and Simms spectroscope.
This building almost feels like a museum to Objectivity videos now.
It's becoming that way, isn't it? Yeah. But here we have a rather fabulous ceiling. You get a real sense of what these terraces would have been like at the turn of the 20th century, when the very wealthy lived here. There are all sorts of little features tucked away in the buildings, little architectural features. So this is a mini first aid room at the moment. But look here, this is the only place in the building I know where the original bronze window decorations are. Can you see the little cherubs there? And the handles, beautiful, and little warriors. That one's been painted over. It must have all been like this at one point, and absolutely fabulous.
All the greatest pieces of science in history in one building, and Keith is showing us the window knobs.
I like them.
That's a proper door, that is.
It's beautiful, isn't it? But the details around the building are rather wonderful. What I like about this is that this is clearly Italianate. And if you look up, this must be intended to be Dante and Beatrice up on the walls here. So just a nice little piece of history from the building as it was as a private house, and very beautiful.
Keith, did they have to put the pool sign on there?
I know, the kind of furniture around the building, it's built up over a number of years from the 1960s, and some of it is just really horrible. I have a wish list of things I'd like to change in this building, and our graphics design team would agree with me. Signage is definitely one of them.
Let's have a look in this room. I really like this room, actually. Thank you. A smaller lecture room. This is called the Kohn Center, isn't it?
That's right, and this is my favourite lecture theatre in the Royal Society because it's just a little bit more intimate. We have some of the recent presidents of the Royal Society here, so you'll see Martin Rees, fellow of the Royal Society, president of course, painted by Bryan Organ in 2010.
Still the Astronomer Royal now. I really enjoy the portraits in this room because they're the current presidents, and these are some people who, like, you know, I feel more familiar with, and seeing them painted in this way is really interesting. There is something about this portrait, but Keith, I want to keep it a secret for a future video.
Okay, yeah.
In the future, we're going to do a video about this particular portrait because it's got something special about it, and it's one of my favourite little Royal Society Easter eggs, and I don't want to ruin it.
I shan't tell. So this is Robert May, Lord May of Oxford. Sadly died quite recently, of course, but a very good portrait by Tom Phillips. Either side of the fireplace, we have two former presidents, and here we've got Patrick Blackett, the nuclear physicist. Very, very austere, solemn portrait there. Yeah. And on the other side, Cyril Hinshelwood, this very opulent, rather magnificent, quite louche portrait. So just a nice contrast between two presidents of the Royal Society.
And Keith, in here we've got like the projector for the screen, and next to it, in the other glass thing, we have a replica of Newton's telescope.
Yeah, it's optics.
This is a proper staircase, this one.
This is a proper staircase, yeah. So this was put into the building by a company called Peto's in the 1890s, and it was the house at that time of an American millionaire called Charles Sanford. He really went to town on the interior decoration. So you have this fine marble staircase, and look up, you'll see there's this absolutely fabulous ceiling here.
An honour board here, past presidents.
That's right, all the past presidents of the Royal Society from the first, Viscount Brunke.
Keith, 2 of those light bulbs are out.
I know, I'll pop up there and change them later. Yeah. It's one of those where you need the old scaffolding.
What, you can't just lean over and...
No. Of course, we'll have to paint a new name on the president's board.
Oh yeah, the current president, he's coming to an end, isn't it?
That's right, so Venki Ramakrishnan, as you can see, will be leaving office in 2020, and we'll have a new president then. So the name painting will have to continue.
All right, the Wolfson rooms. Oh,
and
look.
Don't forget Isaac Newton.
There's the more heroic Isaac Newton.
That's the kind of the Roman imperial kind of Isaac Newton, isn't it?
Wolfson 2, this room is called.
Yep, these are the old library reading rooms, and these days used for events, meetings, receptions, lectures sometimes even.
So these rooms used to be your domain. They used to be the library.
So here we have, again, more library space, and of course we film Objectivity quite regularly here.
It's certainly one of the most
It's
beautiful
spectacular, isn't it? And
Beautiful
it's got these wonderful painted ceilings.
amazing room.
So we're going to do a secret staircase diversion. Now, when we do guided tours in the building, we very rarely do this because it's a very limited space.
Okay.
However, since there's only 3 of us today and we can social distance, let's see if we can go up here.
Look at this, it even says on the door, fellows and staff only. Excellent. This is my wife's favourite room in the building because she loves the paint.
And it's probably James's as well because he can at last get into an Objectivity video via the mirrors.
I thought you were going to say it's James's least favourite because this looks like a white balance nightmare. So where are we? What is this? This is like a kind of a secret staircase or something?
Yeah, so this is an additional staircase that comes up from the ground floor. There are flats for the fellows at the top of the building, so sometimes they would use this staircase for that purpose. But this, at the time when the building was the German embassy, would have been the staircase leading up to the ambassador's flat, which is on the next level. And legend has it that this is where the declaration of war for the First World War was brought by Harold Nicholson, a young junior official of the Foreign Office. He knocked up the butler of the German ambassador at midnight. He would have brought the declaration up this staircase up onto the next level where the ambassador's flat would have been. So that's the little walk we're going to do now.
The declaration of war was like a piece of paper, like we're
yeah.
officially at war, and it was handed over just up there.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow, amazing.
We have some of the smaller and more intimate portraits in this area from Dorothy Hodgkin here, still the only female British Nobel Prize winner for science. The portrait just here is of Max Born, the great physicist, paired with Paul Dirac, Robert Hanbury Brown, Australian radio astronomer.
Oh, wow.
Very good.
There you go.
Michael Atiyah, president and mathematician here. Herbie Frölich, another physicist. And right at the end, there's a final piece. This is Albert Einstein by Ivan Opfer, done in 1933, and one of a group of really tremendous physicists in this area. If you've got Einstein, Max Born, Paul Dirac in one area, that's big science.
We're coming into a really modern part of the building here.
Yeah, it's being refurbished at the moment. What you can see here, we have Ariel 1, the first British space satellite. This is the engineering model of that, which we've covered in Objectivity before, of course.
So this is a part of the Royal Society that we don't really talk about much on Objectivity. We're always looking at old things and things down in the library.
That's right.
But here is where like the day-to-day, like sciencey side of work is done.
This is where the new stuff gets done.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. All right, the council room.
Here we go, Brady. So the Royal Society is a democratic organisation. The fellows vote on things. We have a council, which is the ruling body of the organisation. This is where the decisions get made about Royal Society policy. So the president would normally sit about here, and we're surrounded by portraits of fellows from the past. So we have Charles Darwin here, obviously the greatest natural historian of the 19th century. Robert Boyle, the chemist from the 17th century, and John Smeaton, the civil engineer, and we have the Edison Lighthouse just here, of course.
And the mace
would sit in front of the president during the meetings, so that indicates the presence of the monarch, and the Royal Society can get underway once the mace is placed on the table.
This is the room where it happens. It's where they decide who's going to be the next head librarian.
Yep, they'll probably come through here.
Yeah.
Thanks for reminding me, Brady.
All right.
And of course, Keith's favourite scientist and diver, Edmund Halley.
Edmund Halley. I like Edmund Halley. What's this enormous mural here on the wall?
So this was installed when the Royal Society moved to Carleton House Terrace in the mid-1960s. And this is the former home of the Royal Society in Burlington House. It's a huge cityscape with a bit of a false perspective, as you can see. There's no high-rise buildings behind the wing of Burlington House. The artist of this is actually an Australian, Lawrence Dawes, who's more famous for his outback paintings. but he was in London in the 1960s and was commissioned to paint this to remind the Fellows of the Royal Society of their former home.
So it's a little nod to the former home in the new home.
Yeah.
Nice.
So going down the main staircase of what would have been the German embassy, it's been slightly remodelled, but this will take us all the way down to the basement levels.
I know, this is a very important room.
This is our favourite room in the Royal Society, Brady, I think, isn't it?
The dining room.
The dining room, yeah.
Where's the fish and chips? Normally there's fish and chips here for us, Keith.
I know. We should have laid it on for you, Brady, but there we are. But this is where you can have lunch. You may be sitting next to a Nobel Prize winner while you're doing it. So it's a pretty privileged position to be in. And we're surrounded by some of the great figures from the past again. There's Sir Henry Dale, the president in the 1940s, great physiologist. And some of the ones you recognise here include Stephen Hawking on the other side.
Oh yeah, there he is.
And again, another one of our recent commissions. This is Jean Thomas. And it's one I really like. The artist has picked up the little DNA helix on the necklet, and you can just see it very subtly in the background.
All right, Keith, how are you going to finish this tour? What climax could we have that could top all these amazing rooms you've shown us?
Well, the most important room in the building, of course, which is the library reading room.
The library reading room.
Absolutely, this is where it all happens. Of course, most of the space in the building is quite private because it's the book stacks.
But here it is.
But this is where scholars would normally sit.
Below us, there's book stacks and vaults, places you've seen on Objectivity before, and you and the library staff will go down there and retrieve these precious things and bring them up here for reading.
That's right. So this is a kind of, I like to think of it as a sort of beating heart of the Royal Society, if you like.
The beating heart.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't it more the brain?
That could be that as well.
Yeah, the memories.
Yeah, the kind of institutional memory of the organisation, yeah. And of science in general, of course.
Thank you for the tour. That was amazing.
Okay.
You're giving me nothing here. Is that, well, that looks like a keyhole. But you definitely can't get the key in there.
It is a pretend keyhole.
Okay.
The weak point in all of these is the locking mechanisms, so therefore you hide the lock.
So the keyhole must be somewhere else. Oh, hang on. What's
Aha.
this? There's a panel here on top. I literally just found this. I wasn't pretending for the camera.
There we go.
Oh, this is very Scooby-Doo.
This is good, isn't it?
Very
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo.